Nervous. Okay, first of all, you guys have got to stop coming up to me at work asking me if I'm the guy that makes bathhouse videos on YouTube. No, I'm not that guy. Leave that guy alone, okay? Hey, I'm Paolo. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a question I've been asking myself ever since I started this channel. If you go back and watch some of the content that I pushed out earlier, I talk a lot about what to expect or what it might be like for someone that's never been to a gay sauna. I wanted to push this kind of content because at the time I thought this information might be useful for somebody trying to, do a little research to see if these kinds of places are right for them. I didn't really have a specific age group in mind because, to be perfectly honest with you, I get guys in their late 20s, early 30s who tell me it's their first time than guys in their late teens or early 20s. I never thought only young guys would benefit from what I had to say because the reality is young guys aren't really going to bathhouses these days. Okay, before we get started, let me just say right off the bat, it was never my intention to get anyone to come into a bathhouse. Listen, just don't. By all means, live vicariously through this channel and through the comments that viewers share. And don't even think about going to these kinds of places if you're not good and ready. My goal in this video is to ask questions, analyze the information that I gather, and present it to you, the viewer. Make with it what you will, but please don't think that it's my intention to see more fresh meat at work or something like that. That would be really weird, and I don't really like younger guys. Listen, these places are going away, and there's a lot of reasons why. From the perspective of working at a bath, upper management constantly whines about how much more difficult it is to get anyone to come into these places, let alone young guys. But I've had the chance to glance at my Bathhouses database to better understand the age groups that make up our customer base. And the reality is that young guys are kind of avoiding these places. Well, I mean, I guess the data is just at mine. Listen, I'm gonna share some data with you guys, but the sample size is way too small, over too short of a time, and there was a lot of customers that I wasn't really able to filter out because of how the program was encrypted back when the program was coded, and this data was collected during 2 active pandemics. So I feel a little bit iffy sharing these metrics with you guys, but here's what our age demographics look like between July 2021 to July 2022. Take this information with a large grain of salt. And please don't think about using it in any academic capacity because I am just a gay YouTuber with an Excel spreadsheet and a janky database. And I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know what I'm talking about, but oh my God, these numbers look bleak. Again, there is a large margin of error here, but these numbers feel right. Well, what's causing this? What is the answer to this mystery? I have some theories. Let's break it down. You've probably seen these type of headlines in every major publication. Oh my God, Gen Z isn't having any sex. And listen, yes, these stories are meant to be a little bit sensationalist, but there's multiple factors and some pretty vague data that's leading a lot of publishers to run these stories. But if you were just looking at the headlines, you would say, yeah, cut the cameras. We have our answer, wrap it up, right? No. Listen, some of the reason these articles cite wouldn't really apply to men who have sex with men, especially at places like bathhouses. For example, in an article by Hornet, a gay organization, mind you, they cite the #1 reason Gen Z isn't having any sex is because they're still living at home. And yeah, of course, a generation that's being forced to live at home because of socioeconomical standards would be a little bit apprehensive about bringing guys home, vis-a-vis less sex. So it seems that like a bathhouse would be the perfect solution. It's a space where you don't really need to worry about hosting. You can come whenever you want and you can fool around right in front of the cashier and nobody would bat an eye. So we would, in theory, see an influx of younger guys coming into these kinds of places looking to get their rocks off because they can't host at home. But we know that's not really happening. So what's really going on? I hear this so much all the time. They're saying Gen Z is prudish. So much so that a term has been coined for it. Puritans, they call them. Urban Dictionary defines them as a child who is deeply uncomfortable with someone that presents sexual characteristics and demands that people curtail behavior that they might interpret as sexually suggestive. Unlike our previous talking point, you can kind of document that this is happening on a demographic of younger guys that 10 or 20 years ago would have probably gone to bathhouses. If you've been anywhere near social media during the days or weeks leading up to Pride Month, you're probably no stranger to the No Kink at Pride Discord that is happening with more intensity as the years are dragging on. This discourse is attributed to the younger LGBT generation, but if we're being real, its prominence is being driven in large part by the dogpiling and dissenting coming from the older, much larger demographic members of our community. Yes, there is a very vocal but very small minority of teens who rather see less kink at Pride to make it more inviting for everyone. But I would say, based on my own observation, that the staggering majority of this conversation is being led by older generations just dragging this conversation for longer than we need to have it. Older gay men, you really, really don't like this conversation. But it's time that we look at this objectively. If we really want to ask questions like, why are younger guys not having more sex? Why aren't younger guys going to bathhouses? Why are bathhouses dying? We must be adults about it and be prepared to accept answers whether or not we agree with the reasoning behind them. Look, I'm a millennial. I come from a generation where a lot of the gay media that I consumed as a kid was made for adult Gen Xers and baby boomers. I remember being a teenager and seeing shows like Queer as Folk and Noah's Ark and thinking that these sex-forward men were role models. Hookup culture, bar hopping, and sexual independence were things that I couldn't wait to participate in. Oh my god, I grew up watching Christopher Meloni and Lee Tergesen hook up in their jail cell at 10 years old. No wonder I am 34 and a whore. Meanwhile, you have Gen Z growing up with shows like Heartstopper and Love Victor. They're not out here watching adult programming at 11 p.m. starving and praying for a crumb of representation like I did. They're getting it in very healthy, age-appropriate ways. Listen, for every established culture, there will exist, without fail, a counterculture to oppose it. Gay men who are millennials or older, we are sexually charged. I don't think I need to find statistics and data to back me up here. Take a moment to self-reflect and you'll see that this assumption is not a reach. Now, if you were a teen growing into this culture of very sexually charged older men, and you were coming from a generation where things like consent, healthy discussions, and unlearning problematic behaviors define the core values of your generation, you can't be all that surprised that Gen Z is a little embarrassed of us, you guys. I can go on an hour-long tangent about this topic, specifically my own opinions about how I feel about all of this. Because despite what a lot of you might be thinking, I'm being very neutral and objective up here. But the original question and how this all ties down to this channel is, why are bathhouses dying? Okay then, let's bring it home. That's it. That's the answer. Let's look at how we got here. Listen, a lot of people, including some members of management at my bathhouse, wrongfully think that hookup apps are our biggest competitors. They think that younger guys aren't coming in because they have the grinders and the scruffs and the sniffies. And sure, Gen Z is economically screwed through no fault of their own, so paying $30 for an 8-hour locker is going to feel a lot heavier for a struggling 20-year-old student than it will for a 40-year-old Gen Xer who has an established career and housing. Grindr is free 99, but I'll be honest with you, in my professional opinion, these guys are not avoiding these places because of economic reasons. After all, a lot of baths, including my own, have really steep discounts for younger men. A lot of these guys are avoiding these places because they have a reputation for being petri dishes for drugs, sexual promiscuity, and bacterial plagues. By all means, look up some bathhouse websites and social media accounts and see how many of these feature pictures of what the inside of the place actually looks like. The only place that you're going to be sure to find anything like this is Yelp. And I already spoke in great length about how the majority of Yelp reviews are going to be negative for reasons that we can't control. You're telling me that you're trying to entice a generation of always online young men to visit a place that they can't even see for an amount of money they probably can't afford, where the only experiences that they can read about are going to be negative Yelp reviews, and you're wondering why they're not coming in? Are you guys crazy? Baths themselves are the ones showing this younger generation that they don't really need to come into these places as part of the gay experience, actually. And more young guys are realizing that they don't need the services that bathhouses are intended to provide, actually. Besides, the way this generation is being raised, the things that happen Friday night at a gay bathhouse would probably give a 19-year-old Gen Z man polio. Listen, I cut my teeth learning about these places from TV and movies, so I had some semblance of knowledge of what was happening in these places before I applied to work at one. That said, I'm here to tell you, and I hope some of you older guys in the comments might agree with me, bathhouses sort of deserve the reputation that they have. I can say this with all the authority of someone who clocks in 40 hours a week working at one of these places, that some of them kind of are drug dens, and they can be filled with pushy men who have a difficult time understanding the word no. All the negative and positive things that I assumed about bathhouses turned out to be true. Listen, bathhouses were just as bad as I thought they would be, but I was better prepared to handle it than I thought I would. Some might think that Gen Z just needs exposure therapy. Go to a bathhouse on Saturday night or hang out at a sex party and maybe a jockstrap won't trigger you at Pride, Buttercup. But is that fair? Does the responsibility of adapting rely entirely on the younger generation? Are we, the older generation, completely incapable of just meeting them a quarter of a way to a compromise? You heard it from me, kids. Y'all can kill bathhouses. But let us keep kink and pride. Listen, regardless of where my own personal feelings lie on an answer to these questions, I am so glad that it is so much easier for gay young men to self-express and have a proper chance to mature with their straight peers and not feel the need to do things like sneaking underage into a gay bar or meeting anonymous men on Craigslist because those are the only gay spaces available. I am so happy that they have their TikToks and their Twitch streamers that are providing safe environments for them to hang out at. I have so many things to say about every individual thing that we talked about today, but I really hope this video was digestible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know I haven't really uploaded any videos in a really long time, but we're back. A lot has happened in my personal life, and I'm adjusting to a lot of things that happened in quick succession. But anyway, I want to say a quick thank you to everybody who's found me on Twitter and encouraged me to make more content. And I was obviously kidding about the cold opening. You guys that are coming up to me at work telling me that you've seen my stuff, it means so much. This channel turned into a passion project, and I'll admit for a little while the passion just wasn't there. Definitely keep the comments coming because I really enjoy reading those. I'm also streaming semi-regularly on Twitch, so if you're a fan of the platform, follow me there. I have a few more video essays that I want to push out, but I'm trying to cast a really wide net when it comes to content creation. So there might be other projects that I'm working on here on YouTube, Twitch, wherever. Be sure to follow me over on Twitter, and thanks again for watching. See you next time.